All right, everybody. We're live on a Monday afternoon,
Yes.
evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I'm sitting down today with Ashley from Carnivore Brothers. We met at Hack Your Health recently and decided we wanted to, do a little collaboration and chat about our experience there and just kind of get to know each other a little bit better. I've seen some of your videos, but obviously hadn't met you in person or we hadn't really connected up until the conference, and so
Yeah.
I'm excited to do that today. And so if anybody has questions throughout, obviously we'll be looking through the chat to see what you guys are saying, but we're just going to kind of hang out for a little bit and talk about some of the takeaways that we got from the conference. And Ashley's going to give us a little bit of a sneak peek into some of the Healing Humanity documentary things that I didn't get to really see or partake in, that were going on behind the scenes there. So welcome. Glad to be
Yeah.
sitting down with you today.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and that was fun getting to meet you and somebody else who lives in similar area in the DFW area of Texas. So that was exciting for me because I know that there's been some of our carnivore community who've been clamoring for a future meetup in the Dallas area. So hopefully we'll be able to put something together in the future for that. So that was fun to get to meet you, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you better through this as well. So exciting. I know we had a couple of different experiences at Hack Your Health too, so I'm anxious to hear a little bit some of your takeaways too.
Yeah, it was my first time down there, really doing a conference like this at all.
Yeah.
I haven't been to anything health related, like of this size, and so um, I was definitely looking forward to it. And I got the little app that they had, where all the speakers, and I organized
Mhm.
my whole schedule. Like, these are all the people I want to see. And I had something sort of booked for every hour, speaker wise. And
Yeah.
then when I got there, it just sort of went like out the window a
You
little bit
thought
because
you had a plan.
there
Yeah.
was a lot of booths. Yeah. And then I started like seeing people I knew and meeting people, and it just, I ended up going to several things, but did a bunch of other stuff too, which I wasn't planning on, but it was awesome. It worked out
Yeah.
great. So what about
Yeah.
you?
That was the kind of the same thing. I had a plan. I wanted to attend these certain things. I looked on the app, but the moment you get in the door and you start seeing people in person that you've only seen on YouTube or and haven't got to meet in person, and it just kept happening over and over again. And every time I turned around, there was somebody new that I'm like, oh, I want to meet you. I want to meet you, and it was a lot of fun. I think in talking with some of the other people that attended, that was by far and away the coolest part of the event. I mean, the speakers were great, the information was great, some of the booths were great, but it was the meeting the actual carnivores and the people in person, and actually, we just see everybody online, so it just was a whole lot more real, and it was so cool. I was like one of the first ones. I was walking through, and I don't know if he's in your comments, but he's in a lot of the comments of the YouTube videos that I watch all the time. Was Dr. Nelson Vasquez, and he's always commenting and stuff. And I just saw him, and I just, for whatever reason, I knew that was him. Like, I'd never met him in person. I just knew that was him, and so I got to meet him. And then I turned around, and here comes Dr. Lisa Wiederman walking by, and I mean, it was just like every time I turned around, there was somebody new that was, I've never met in person, but it was so fantastic to actually get to meet them in person.
Yeah, I completely agree. I kind of knew that was going to be the real fun part. But until you get there and you actually get to hug somebody and be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's it's really cool. I think, yeah, I got there about 9, a little bit late after the very start on Friday morning, but I kind of went in and went like right to the main stage, and I saw you got your group, Carrie and Adam,
Hmm.
that you guys were the first people that I ran into. And so that was kind of cool to just,
Yeah.
see all you guys, and everybody had all the camera gear and stuff. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
That was really cool. And when you say you guys, it's funny. The only reason that it's us guys is because I'd gone to a meetup in Chicago. My brother and I actually flew up and went to a meetup that Carrie Mann had, where we got to meet Dr. Hampton for the first time, and Carrie and Adam and his girls and stuff like that. So that was, again, when you have these in person meetups, and you actually get to meet people in person. Those relationships just grow even deeper, and so it was really cool. So yeah, it was fun to be a part of that, but at the same time, it was also that was only the second time I got to hang out in person with them too. So we had a blast all weekend. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I was curious about, how you got involved with the project and everything like that. So it was just kind of
Yeah.
meeting in person and then
Well, Carrie's inspired a lot of people, obviously, with what he's doing and what they're doing on that. But yeah, the Healing Humanity documentary is 100% voluntary right now. I mean, there's obviously Carrie's kind of leading the charge. Adam, as the assistant director, is kind of, I guess, his right hand man right now, because he's got a lot of like professional photography and does a really great job of setting up all the camera angles and the pictures and the coloring and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of his expertise. And so he's done a phenomenal job of doing that and really making everything that they filmed so far look very, very professional and putting all that together. But everybody else, there's a big team actually. I want to say there's probably 10, 12 people now that are just kind of working behind the scenes, interviewing candidates that have applied to possibly be part of the documentary as far as being filmed, or setting up the experts when we have the expert doctors on there, making sure obviously the coordination in Austin was a huge event, trying to get all that set up, databases that are being built from all the stories of healing and everything else that has gone on. There's just a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes in the website and development of all that. So it's exciting to see it really just taking off. And I know there's so many people. We've met a ton of people there that were very excited to get updates and see what's going on. And so it was awesome to be able to, for me and the team, actually even seeing some of that footage for the very first time too, as it comes together. So we meet collaboratively like once a week and go through updates and what's going on and who's doing what. But everything kind of went on pause for the Hack Your Health event because so much filming was going to go on, and that was the big focus. Was we had 14 interviews over the course of that weekend that were filmed, and yeah, they did a great job with it. Really, really outstanding. But it was a lot of back and forth. So how did I get involved? I was one of those who just raised my hand. I was like, whatever I could do. Can I sweep the floors, cook you guys meals, whatever it does? And so me and if you're familiar with Brett, who's your carnivore, he and I were the two that were basically tackling all the cooking responsibilities. So, I mean, woe is me. What a rough job cooking steaks for Dr. Chafee and Bella. And it was pretty amazing. So it was funny. Coach Emily, at one point, she was like, "You're kind of a fanboy, are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. This is amazing." I'm like, cooking steaks. Yeah. They're telling me this is the greatest steak they've ever had. I'm like, "Yeah, this is so fun." So I brought my smoker down from Dallas. I loaded up into the back end of my truck and hauled it down, and we smoked meats for them all weekend. It was pretty great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw your compilation, your picture compilation there. Is that the one where it says like "Go Carnivore" on? It's like carved into the side or something like that, that's like not a smoker, but
no. So I had yeah, I just put something together real quick to get it out there. I've got a big long, like all the behind the scenes almost finished that I want to put out on our channel. So hopefully we'll get that out in the next few days. But okay. But yeah, no, it's a regular, I shouldn't say regular, it's a nicer Traeger smoker that I've had for a few years, and I've been fortunate to smoke on the Traeger grills for about 7 or 8 years and learn the trade a little bit. But yeah, it was funny. Todd Bachnes and Lindy, they've already bought smokers because of it. And I'm like, man, I need to become an affiliate for Traeger. I was selling them left and right.
Yeah, let me know when you do, because I mean, I can't have one where I live right now, but that's something I really want. I've never really operated one before, but it's like, it's probably easy, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of those. It's a pellet grill, so some in the smoking community will shame me for not doing it the old-fashioned way, but it's fantastic because it's one of those, you can set it, you don't have to check it every hour, you just set it and forget it, and you just watch the temperature of the meat. Do a few things throughout it, but I don't have to babysit it every hour like some of the wood stokes side smokers and stuff like that. So I love it. It's my baby, and yeah, I was a little nervous loading it up into the truck, but we did it. We got it there safely and back.
That's so cool.
So it was fun. So, yeah, so that was awesome. So those experiences were incredible, but unfortunately, that meant I did miss a little bit of the actual Hack Your Health event.
Right.
There were several things that I wanted to see that we couldn't. So hopefully, we'll get to see some replays in the future and get some of those videos, because there was a lot of great content. I know you got to attend some of those, and but I did get to hear the main ones I wanted to, the carnivore talks that I wanted to with Dr. Baker and Bella and those groups that were there, which was fantastic.
Yeah, so did I. I saw Dr. Boz, her talk on uric acid, which was good. And then, yeah, the feasting and fasting carnivore panel.
That was a good
I
one.
think there was one on Friday that I think like the 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock was kind of like the main event. I felt like every day that it was something carnivore
Yes.
related that,
Yeah.
that I did go to. But yeah, the first day for me, it was mostly just walking around and just kind of like figuring out like the lay of the land and where all the different rooms were and running into people and seeing everybody and kind of exploring some of the booths. And then I did, kind of similar on Saturday, although Saturday I think I went to more talks. The sleep and circadian
Okay.
sleep cycle thing presentation was one that I really wanted to get to and was glad that I did, because that's still part of like my healing journey that I'm still trying to dial in. I feel like I've sort of gotten to a place where I've experimented with lion and like all, lots of different
Yeah.
carnivore styles of carnivore, and I feel like I'm sort of in the spot that is the best for me, but I think there are still some other things outside of just diet that I need to do to kind of get to the next level. And
Yeah.
so I know sleep has been something that I've been really trying to pay more attention to. So that was really interesting. And I knew some of what was covered there, but there was a lot that I didn't know. A lot of details about just how much of an impact even like 15 seconds of blue light has on your melatonin production. And
Yeah.
that's something, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from that presentation was like, oh, if I even just quick look at my phone after sunset, for 15 seconds, it's like that's 2 to 3 hours of melatonin disruption,
That's crazy.
after dark. And so even though I feel like I fall asleep, I'm usually tired, I don't have trouble falling asleep. She said, well, if you say that, that's one of the red flags that you don't sleep well or that you're not getting rested if you're just like kind of dragging, hitting the pillow type of a thing at bedtime. And so that one was really good. Sort of outside of the realm of carnivore talks that I'm glad that I got
I heard you
to.
mention that on another video, and that was fascinating to me because I didn't get to hear that one, and I'd love to learn more about that as well and the impacts of it. So that's where you got those. Did you get blue light glasses?
Because
Yeah.
I've been using these thinking I got these off of Amazon thinking they did something, because they come with these little cards. It's like, we tested it and it blocks blue light, but they're cute. They're like little retro cute glasses, but they don't do anything.
Okay.
They actually have to have yellow, orange, or amber red lenses to actually
Oh,
filter out the blue light. So
okay.
I got the ones that are actually orange.
There
So,
you go.
maybe
Yes.
not as stylish, but I think they're kind of cute and
Really cool.
they actually really work. And I've been pretty diligent about wearing them now, right around sunset time if I'm on my computer for the most part. Because I did get this app that I found out about from this talk too called Twilight for your phone. You can put it on tablets and phones. And then you just set your location and it automatically dims deducts the blue light off your screen until it's
Really?
red at
Wow.
sunset. So then even if you do look at your phone, you're not getting blasted with that
Interesting. What's the app called?
midday light. It's called Twilight.
Twilight. Okay.
And it's free, and I put it on my phone and the tablet that my little one gets access to sometimes too, just to like, even if it's like before sunset, it'll be like a little bit more yellow. It slowly takes the blue out until sunset and then it turns
Very
it
cool.
red.
You'll have to look
So
into
there's
that.
all kinds of cool little things that you can do to kind of minimize that blue light spike and And then we got into the whole light bulb thing, how, we really only have, which I didn't realize, LED and fluorescent lights in most of our homes
Yeah.
and workplaces and offices and stores and all this kind of stuff. And uh, that they banned incandescent light bulbs recently. And those
Wow.
are the ones that have like the full spectrum of light. So you wouldn't be getting, because there was a whole thing where you could change out your bulbs for incandescent bulbs, and that would be better than having like a fluorescent light on at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. in your home or something like that.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
But you can't, I think you can still buy them until like we run out or something, but it's not legal
Wow.
to make them anymore. So
Because of energy consumption, I guess.
yeah, apparently
Wow.
they're energy hogs. So now we have to have and I don't know, I learned so much in there. Like there used to be warning labels on these other like blue the fluorescent lights and things like that, saying like they're associated with cancer or reproductive issues, or like all the,
Wow.
from getting this stimulation at the wrong time of day, like it messes with all our hormones and
Wow.
the entire internal body clock. And so I don't know what happened, but apparently that's okay now, and we can't have the other light bulbs because they take up too much energy. So
Wow.
anywho, that one I learned a lot from.
Yeah, I missed that.
And
That's
then
all fascinating information. I'll have to dig into that more. That's wild.
yeah, I've really noticed it with wearing these glasses at night. At least it helps. And then I'm really making a point to try and get out at sunrise or like right before sunrise and have that be the first light
Yes.
that hits your eyes in the morning. I've had multiple people. The lady I bought these from too, we talked for like an hour. She's from a small town in Wisconsin, like, I don't know, maybe an hour from where I'm from originally, which was
Okay.
kind of crazy. So,
Cool.
yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff, but, what was I saying? Oh, she was talking about something
About
about
the
that.
morning sunlight. The morning sunlight.
Oh yeah, like that being probably the number one most important thing that you
Yeah.
could do to
Yeah.
re-regulate your clock and nervous system is to
Yeah, and
get the
that's
morning.
I've heard that a lot of times too. The
Mhm.
circadian rhythm and how important that is to get that morning sun in. Plus, the rays from the sun apparently in that first few minutes of daylight is the best sun you can get. So anyway,
Mhm.
I've been trying to do that as well. I've got it's funny, in the backyard I've got a pool with a little like waterfall thing on it, and that's where the sunlight hits. So I get on top of that. I'm sure I look funny to the neighbors, but I get on top of that in the mornings to get the first
Oh,
rays of
that's
sun.
cool.
Yeah, it's my spot. So
Yeah, I'm kinda, like, leaning over my balcony, like,
yeah.
trying to face the east. I probably look weird to my neighbors too, but,
Fun.
whatever
Well,
it takes.
that's very cool. And that was yeah, there's all sorts of good bits of information, almost overwhelming how much information there was. So that's why it's been kind of fun kind of doing some of these, recaps too, because there's things that you and others saw and found out that maybe I completely missed. And so it's good to share this information again. Um, did you do any of the cooking demos? I thought that was kind of cool. I watched Courtney Luna's cooking demo.
Yeah, I tried to get a little spot in there. By the time I got around there, it was so packed that
It's back.
I couldn't really see what was happening, and I could barely hear, and so I stuck around for like 5-10 minutes, but then I
Yeah, they needed more room for those kind of things, I think, for
mm,
sure. But yeah, I watched all of hers, and she did a carnivore biscuits and gravy, which sounds crazy, but it actually turned out pretty good. It was good.
mm. Did you get to try it?
Yeah, she had little samples at the end after she cooked it
Oh,
and made samples
cool.
for everybody, so I got to try it. But yeah, I was impressed, and I think that'll be a good one for the wife and daughter at some point. I'll make that here at the house for them because that's something that we haven't had in a long time. But it was all carnivore
Yeah.
clean except for the sausage that she got. She wasn't really sure. We're familiar with HEB, but it was funny. She said I got this sausage from Heb. She goes, "Is
Oh.
that how you say it?" It's kind of funny.
Heb.
So, but yeah,
I
from
think that's what
HEB.
I said the first time I saw it when we moved here. I was
Yes.
like, "What's Heb?"
Yeah, it's funny. So it wasn't. It would be nice to find a really good, clean sausage recipe, but almost all of them have some bit of sugar in it. But it had. She said it was the cleanest one she could find, and it was very good, was a good recipe. So
Well, do you go by the Peterson's sausage booth? They were
yes,
giving out samples. I
yes,
tried their bacon and 2 of their sausages. And I
yes,
got a free hat, which is like the coolest hat ever. It's like camouflage and then it has
nice.
their logo on the front.
Huh. I missed
Um,
out on the hat.
but she told me that they have okay, so they sell at what did she tell me now?
It's like
I
what they
think it
call
is
Cox.
HEB because she said they
Eight.
have it at Central Market, which is the one that I have
Uh-huh.
relatively close to me.
Yeah.
And
There's
then she
another
said they
distributor.
do
I can't remember the name of it either, but I remember her saying that the locations, and the one closest to me, I think, was in Farmers Branch. So I'd have to drive out there, but it'd be worth it to get that sausage
it
and
was
bacon was
so good
amazing.
and it's clean and my kiddo
Yes,
loves that stuff and
yes,
I'm always that lady in the grocery store going, "No, not this." And
yeah,
I keep doing it like it's something's going to change every time I'm
right.
there, like something's going to be
I do this.
different and
I
it
do the same
never
thing. I
is.
flip over, read the ingredients, and there's sugar again. Okay,
Like,
put it
nope,
back.
still not this Hormel, whatever. But she said they also have they sell it's the exact same sausage at Whole Foods,
Hmm.
but Whole Foods wanted their own sort of their own like
Oh, different
generic
label.
label for
Okay.
it. And so
Huh.
it's called something else. And if I remember it, I'll put it in the chat. But it's like not
Is it like
Peterson's, but
is it
it's the
like the
same
Whole
exact
Foods
product.
brand, or is it like, do they brand it
It's
themselves?
it's called like farmers something, or it's
Hmm.
not I don't know if it's their generic do they have a I never shop in there. Do they have like a
No.
generic
I
Whole
got
Foods
the
brand
I
that
got the information from the booth, so I could look it up later because I their samples. I mean, obviously everybody was over there too, sampling it up. It was made
yeah,
the whole place smell amazing.
yeah. Well, I
So
got to eat sausage with Dr. Baker because the second day, I think, yeah,
yes,
Saturday, I was walking back around and he was back behind
uh
the
huh.
table,
I think I saw a
talking
picture of that.
with the guy. And yeah, he was like, "Did you try the bacon?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm back for more." So I was like, "Oh, I'll take a toothpick." I'm eating with
That's
John
awesome.
Baker. So it's pretty cool.
Those were the coolest experiences. That was I had a funny experience. I told the story last night on our live, but it was we when and you got to go to the Casa do Brasil meetup on Sunday night, which was
Mhm.
awesome. That was one of the events I helped organize, and so it was fun putting that all together. But standing there at the front and getting to check everybody in, so I got to meet almost everybody
Yeah.
who walked in. So that was awesome. And what was funny, I was talking with one of the waiters, the wait staff, and they pointed over to one of the other managers and said, "Oh, well, hey, that guy over there, eats only meat. I wonder if he does the same type of diet you guys are doing." And so I went over and talked to him, and sure enough, he was doing the carnivore diet. He'd only been started for like about 3 or 4 months. And I said, "Well, do you know anybody like any of these YouTubers? A lot of these are YouTuber influencers and things like that are going to be here." And he goes, "The only guy I know is Dr. Baker." And I said, "Oh, well, unfortunately, he was the only one who hadn't bought a ticket. Like he didn't sign up for that, so I didn't think he was coming." And I said, "Unfortunately, he's the one doctor that is not going to be here tonight." And literally, as I'm saying those words, in through the door walks Dr. Baker, and I said, "Actually, would you like to
Ah,
meet Dr. Baker?" And so I was able to introduce him to Dr. Baker right there on the spot. It was pretty funny. It
that's
was
so
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, he loved that because that was somebody he had seen and watched online, and really kind of influenced him in starting carnivore before, we just happened to show up at his location. And what a place
Mhm.
to work though if you're carnivore, getting to eat that meat all the time. Goodness, that was amazing.
Yeah, it really was. That was my first time at a Brazilian steakhouse
Oh
ever.
really? Oh
Yeah, I had never been to one, and you always hear about it. And I actually had to look it up. I'm like, there's a bunch around this area.
there
I
is. Yeah,
just, I
we
just never really looked it up before.
my every year for my birthday, that's where we go to Texas Day Brazil. There's another one in Las Colinas that's really good that me and a buddy go to every once in a while. We've tried several of the ones, but figure that might be a good place to do a DFW meetup. So we may have to look
That's a
into that.
great idea. Cause yeah, I would definitely open to suggestions because I don't know, barbecue. I feel like a lot of people pick barbecue places, but I can't personally
Yeah.
necessarily eat there because everything's got a rub on it. Even
Yep.
sometimes the brisket you can find like with no sauce, but it's usually got a pretty
Yeah,
thick crust
almost
on it, and I
every
can't.
rub has sugar in it. It's very hard to
Yeah.
find a rub that doesn't have sugar in it. Um, when I make my briskets, I use if you ever follow the guy on YouTube called Meat Church, he's he he's got a channel. He's actually out of Waxahachie, but he's got his own label of rubs, and there's one called the Holy Cow, and that one is actually really good for. It's a pretty clean one. It has no sugar in it. So it's the only one I found for a brisket rub that has no sugar in it. But so I use that one.
Is that in like the regular grocery store?
Yeah, well, I've seen it in a few grocery stores. At if you go to a Bucky's, actually, the Bucky's near us has his whole line in there, and of course you can order them off his website as well. But
Okay, next time I go by Bucky's, I'll have to check that out.
Meat Church, he's got some clean, his fajita seasoning and his Holy Cow brisket rub. Neither one of those have any sugar in it, so
okay,
they're pretty good. But I just find, and when we were at this. When we were at our Airbnb I brought down a couple of briskets to smoke up for several of the doctors that were going to be there that evening. And first time I've ever cooked a brisket. Being from Texas, I thought, man, this is crazy. But first time I ever cooked a brisket with zero seasonings on it, nothing. We did put nothing on it, just the smoke and the meat. And I'm telling you, it was probably one of the best briskets I've ever had. It was fantastic. So a whole different way of thinking now that I've had that. I'm like, wow. And some people added salt to it afterwards, if they wanted the salt, but since several people didn't eat the salt, we just cooked it completely bare, just the meat. So it got the smoke. It had a great smoke ring on it and then great smoky flavor, but no other seasoning on it. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Okay, because I've been buying a lot of whole briskets over the, I guess winter and spring. They were on sale a lot. Yes. And so I have like half my freezers full of different ways that I've cut brisket up. And I just made some today in the air fryer.
Okay.
And I've been doing no salt for about almost a month now, or very little. Like sometimes we go out and I'll have something and it has salt on it, but I'm not putting any in my water or adding any, 90% of the time. So
yeah,
this was my first time doing it like that with no salt. And I mean, I swear the fat, like, cause the way I had sliced these, they were about, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And they're about 50% fat and 50%, so like the real fatty pieces. And I did them at like 250 for 3 hours. So they weren't like fall apart like they would be from the slow cooker or something like that. But this fat, literally with nothing on it at all added, it tasted like candy. Like it was like caramelized. Like it was so good. And the protein part, the meat part was just, it wasn't super tender to where, like pull apart, but it was like had a little bit of a crunch. I was like, this is the best brisket I've ever had. I think just
that's great.
Out of the air fryer with literally no seasoning, no salt, nothing. It was so good.
Yeah, I'd love to know exactly how you did that. I'd love to try it that way too. But yeah, because brisket's it can be tough to cook and to get it right. So because it can be real chewy if you don't get it right.
Yeah, I made some jerky out of it, and this is tough.
Nice.
It's good, and it's not any tougher than, probably like your standard jerky you get.
Yeah.
Made from the store, but I don't like it, where it's like, I feel like you're going to lose a tooth.
Yeah. I like it that way personally.
Do you? Okay, then do brisket jerky because you like this. Papa Carnivore has a question for you.
Sure.
How long have you been doing carnivore? What health benefits and weight loss have you experienced?
Yeah, thank you, Papa Carnivore. That's a good question. I'm now about to hit 16 months, and it's honestly forever changed my life. I don't see any other way of going back. My big why was type 2 diabetes. I had some severe type 2 diabetes issues that really started about 8 years ago. When I turned 40, I was first diagnosed. I had no idea what it was, but or the impact. But I was in a pretty bad state. I was actually losing a lot of weight uncontrollably, and I was still eating like crazy and drinking 18 Dr. Peppers a day and not exercise, not doing anything. And so I thought I had cancer or something like that. I was getting eaten from the inside out. And so that's why I finally went to the doctor to say, hey, what's going on? We did blood work and my A1C was 11.1. So it was kind of off the charts. But my last A1C after 9 months carnivore was 5.2, and just absolutely in total control of it now and feel amazing. Lost about 70 pounds from my heaviest. And I'm in that phase now where I'm trying to trim down the rest of it to just get the final get a little more lean, and would love. It was funny. One of the quotes on the Healing Humanity, they showed a few different clips of various people that they've interviewed, and Dr. Barry's on there. And one of the quotes that he makes is, he's talking about by age 50. He's talking about as we age, how people slow down and whatever else. But he was saying by age 50, you should be dangerous, and that just resonated with me because I'm
I
48 and a half.
know.
And I'm like, all right, I
Goosebumps.
got a year and a half to be dangerous. And he didn't obviously mean that in a violent way, but it's like you should
Right.
be like intimidating. You should be in the best shape of your life. You should be strong and fit and like not
Mhm.
starting to get feeble and go down here and your body falling apart. You should be in your prime. And so I just
Yeah.
loved that. And so that's kind of my new goal and mantra, to be dangerous by 50. So I've got a year and a half to do that. I got to meet and hang out a lot with Coach Raymond, which he's awesome, and I'm actually doing some of the priming stuff right now, and so full, but I just keep eating right now, and so we're doing the priming, and then I start some fasting here coming up soon, and we'll see where it takes me. So I'll report in on it, on the progress I'm making, but I'm excited about it. Hopefully it would be the first time in my life not to have a belly, and that's where I want to get to. That's my goal by 50.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And 70 pounds already, that's a
Yeah,
lot. That's
that's
great
that's from
in
my
a
heaviest,
little
and
over a
so it's been
year.
a little bit, of up and downs over the years. But
Mhm.
since starting carnivore, it's not, it's definitely. I got down to my high school weight, which, was unbelievable to me, and I feel amazing. So it's gone up and down a little bit, 5 pounds or so in the last few months, and so that's where I sought some additional coaching from Raymond to say, all right, what do we need to do to kick this last bit off and get to this next stage of fit. So that's where I'm going.
That's awesome. That's so inspiring. And I too, I think I'm 37 and, I have a 4-year-old. And so sometimes I'm like, you still have this idea like, well, turning 40 is kind of getting, a little bit up there and you're getting a little bit old. And so I've definitely had to reframe that too, just in light of all these people too that I see in my comment section and people in like the Monday Night Lives, which I jump
Mm-hmm.
in a lot on Dr. Barry's channel. Um, and especially I see ladies who are like, I'm 65, I'm
Yeah.
72, I'm 80, and
Yeah.
I've lost 50 pounds or I have no more arthritis. Like they're changing their lives at, these more advanced ages. And so
It's amazing,
40 ain't
right?
nothing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Well,
Like I've
Neah, look,
got
you
40,
could be
50
the
more
next.
years of
You'll be the
healthy.
next Maggie at when you're 82, 83 years old and showing her guns like that. I don't know if you saw the picture.
Yeah.
Oh my worst! I mean, you've got the opportunity to do that the next 40 years of getting ready to be in your prime. She says, "I'm just getting started at
Yeah.
uh, at age 83." Well, it was 82. I guess she was 82 when she said it, but she said, "I'm just getting started." I mean, she's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. No,
So
that's so cool. And that seeing that trailer, I mean, I cried the first time I saw it, and then when I went to the present, the official presentation on Sunday, I cried again. Like it was
yeah,
just, it's so I can't wait
I,
for it to come out.
I'm
I
not
definitely
ashamed
want to be
I'm
at the
not ashamed to
premiere for
say
sure.
I've seen it. I think 6 or 7 times now, and I've cried every time. I mean,
It's so
it's
good.
got, and that's really the point of the documentary is making the emotional connections with real people. And so I know at least that's Carrie's vision. He wants to have the experts in there and some of the scientific and the documentation behind it, but he wants this emotional stories that people can connect with. Because to me, that's just so much more powerful when you see these transformations and when you see people healing from things they suffered from 20, 30 years, and what all I had to do was change my diet, and I can resolve these things. I mean, it's just powerful. So
And
super excited.
these are stories of like I feel like so many people that fell through the cracks. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like not
Yeah.
just had chronic conditions, but it's like they've been to all the doctors. Or it's like Bill Knott.
Yeah.
He's literally been a prisoner in his little tiny home where he lived.
At
It's like
home, but
he's
it's
not been
yeah, the room
outside in what
essentially.
5 years or something. Like imagine
Nope,
how.
not anymore.
But until we see
But
the trailer. Um, so it's
yeah,
like it's just people just sort of how do I want to say this? It's like I didn't experience this to the extent that like a lot of the people I think in this
So
documentary have, but it's like there is a point where you
hopelessness.
feel like, yeah,
Yep.
you're just like, this is
Yep.
just how I'm gonna be,
Yep.
and nobody can help me, and I've sort of exhausted all the options, and like there must just be something inherently bad or wrong about me, and it's my
Right.
fault, and like you just start to kind of
Yeah.
lose hope that there's any other way to live, and then you look at your life like, oh, I'm 30, and maybe I'll get to 55, and that'll be it, or something.
That,
Like you start
yeah.
to get those ideas in your head,
Yeah.
and then something like
There's a,
this happens, and we see these stories start to stack up where it's like, no, even some of these people that it seems like there's no hope, like the guy with was it stage 4 cancer?
yeah. Just
um
prosperous.
yeah, yeah. Like that's like, look, this guy's running around playing soccer or rugby or whatever he's doing, like,
Soccer and
and going
with
through
both his
treatment
kids
and doing all this stuff. Like it's
and thriving. I
absolutely,
mean, he's doing
yeah.
chemotherapy, which normally knocks people out for weeks after they do their chemotherapy, and he's like getting full out workouts in on the same days he's doing. He's got his chemo bag attached to him. He's doing workouts. I mean, it's an amazing story. I know. I just love getting to see some of that, and hopefully everybody else will get to see a lot of that soon. It's really really neat. Seasoned
Yeah, we've
citizen.
got one right here, Ribeye
Yeah.
Ranger. I'm one of those rejuvenated, seasoned citizens. I'm 66 years old, carnivore 11 months, down 50 pounds, feel 20 years younger at least. You and Ashley are true inspirations.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, so are
That,
you, because it's the documented stories,
that's
right?
right. Did you get to meet Jim? Did you get to meet Jim Tucker at the meetup? He was the one in the
Mm-mm.
cowboy hat. He and his wife Lynn are amazing. And actually, I met them at the Larry
Wait.
Carnivore Soldiers first meetup. Is when I first got to meet them, and they are awesome. So Lynn Tucker Carnivore is his wife, and Jim is
Okay.
Ribeye Ranger.
Okay. I think I did maybe briefly talk to you guys at the dinner.
Yeah, so
Because
they
yeah,
were.
now that you
They
say the
didn't go to
hat,
Hack
I'm
Your
like
Health.
thinking of,
They weren't at Hack Your Health, but they came to the dinner, the Casa do Brasil dinner,
okay.
and they're awesome. And the both of them have started some YouTube channels, and I love it.
Okay.
Lynn,
Go
both of
subscribe.
them are amazing, but they did a really cool recap. If you haven't seen it, watch their channel. I'm not sure if it's posted on Lynn's channel or Jim's, but it's Lynn Tucker Carnivore or Ribeye Ranger, and they did a
Okay.
recap of that dinner event. It's awesome. They did such a good job with that.
Okay. I will go subscribe.
Yes, they're great,
Cool.
and they are. Yeah, Jim cracks me up. He's out there throwing out push-up challenges to Dr. Chafee. I mean, he's not
Yeah.
he's going, and Lynn's keeps flexing her muscle, showing her she's getting her Maggie guns going, and I love it. They're doing great.
Yes. That's
Good
fantastic.
people.
Yeah, I mean, that's what keeps me inspired is, reading comments like that on a daily basis, or
Yeah.
just
So so
yeah.
my dad is 79 and my mom is 78, and they've been for the last 20 years prior to COVID, they were missionaries in the Ukraine. And since COVID, they hadn't been able to go back over to the Ukraine. Well, let's see, they're almost at 1 year of being carnivore. And they both have done a great job. Both have lost a significant amount of weight. But my dad was always really heavy. And he got to go back to the Ukraine for the first time. They actually just got back. So they were gone the last 2 weeks. And it was so funny hearing their stories. And he's got videos of it too. But everybody's like pointing to his belly, and they're like, "What happened to your belly? It's all flat." It's so funny. They were the dramatic
Oh,
difference in the way he looks. He said everybody had to make comments on it, but I mean, all his life he's been a very heavy guy, and it's been so neat to watch that. But I just what I see in him at 79 years old is the transformation from just being okay in the Texas heat to be miserable and sit in a reclining chair and just do nothing to he's got full energy. He's out doing yard work for 2 hours at a time, and just his energy is completely different. And I just love seeing it. He's really made a cool transformation.
yeah, those are some of the coolest things, and that's so neat that both your parents are doing it. Did they just
Yeah,
see your results, and your brothers,
yeah,
obviously, right?
yeah.
And then like, we
That's
want to try it too, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, they both
Cool.
said we were crazy when we first started it, and then once they started seeing the results, my brother he noticed me first on Facebook, and then he didn't do any research, jumped right in, and he was over 300 pounds. he lost right at 100 pounds really quickly, just remarkable results. He did so good. And by the time they saw both of us, yeah, they were both like, all right, we're in. And then I've got a twin brother who's also started it, and he's doing great. Lowered all his blood pressure and had some issues there that he's resolved. He's got 3 or 4 people at his office now asking him about it. So again, the transformations are what I think what people see and they acknowledge. And once they hear about it, they may still think it's a little bit crazy. You're not eating your veggies and you know all of the different things that we hear, but you can't deny the results that when you see it like that, when you see the transformations happening.
No, and like your labs too, right? Because you,
Mhm.
I recently watched your, like one of your very first videos where you talked about like how high your A1C was before and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
was it like 12 or 11 point
11 point
something at its
11.1. Yep.
highest? And now, well,
5.2.
I don't know, when's the last time you had lab work?
So
I've not had any for so long. I don't even know
I
what my
haven't.
baseline is.
I'll probably do another round of lab work coming up in the next couple of months. But at the 9-month mark is when I did my first carnivore lab work, and I'd been
Okay.
9 months carnivore, and yeah, everything. All my cholesterol numbers were down significantly. I'd never been on any medications, so I didn't take any. I didn't get rid of any because I never started any. But my A1C went from 11.2 down to 5.2. My triglycerides were over 1,000, and they were right in line. Yeah, it was.
Holy moly.
I have a disclaimer because it was crazy high. They couldn't even measure my total cholesterol. But I really, at the time, I don't know if I didn't know anything about fasting before blood work, so I can't say I went into that completely fasted. But I was in bad shape either way. I mean, definitely
Yeah.
the numbers were off the chart, but every single number that was off the chart or in the red, or there were concerns, every one of them were back into 9 months on carnivore. Everything was in check. So I love it. I love it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I haven't had any blood work done in many, many years. And I wish I had, I wish I had gone and gotten just a basic panel when I
Hmm.
started,
Yeah,
because
just
it would be nice to
to have a
compare. But I'm
comparison point.
thinking my 1 year is coming up in July. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll go get my first one at
Yeah.
1 year, and then we can compare. Because same sort of mindset. It's like I'm only really, I mean, I've done this diet before for 11 months, and then I kind of technically started, I don't know, maybe 6 months before I started counting again this
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
But I didn't, the reason that I waited till July, July last year to start counting was because that's when I stopped drinking. And I decided, like, okay, I'm never gonna make real progress if I do this diet, but then continue to drink every night,
Right.
So it's like
Okay.
that was kind of my day one.
Yeah.
Um, so but I did get a DEXA scan, my first DEXA scan at the conference,
Okay.
and I got one of those free CGMs from Dr. Boz that I wore for 10 days.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
putting together a video right now, talking about, because my DEXA scan, maybe I'll spoil it, was not what I expected at all. It was like
Wow.
worse. I'm worse than I thought I would be. But I don't know. I guess I
For
don't really know what I
for
thought, but
what? Like percentage body fat?
yeah, I
Wow.
don't have nearly as much muscle as I thought I did. I mean, honestly, I it's always been pretty easy for me to put on muscle, and so I've never really worried about it because I've always felt pretty strong and I've always
Uh-huh.
been active and worked out and stuff. But when I got pregnant, I feel like literally that sucked half of my muscle out. Like
Oh,
my body looks different, it looks
yeah.
different than it
You
ever
do,
did in the
you
past.
donated it to your baby.
And so I really, I think it kind of confirmed that, because I'm always like, I feel like she took like all my muscle.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, I had like a much lower percentage than I anticipated, and a little bit more. But then the visceral fat was, I really was curious about bone density and visceral fat, because with
Yeah.
my history of drinking and stuff, I was like, I probably have some visceral fat, and that's what I really want to know, like, how that's trending, and then bones. Because I do have some like family history of, osteoporosis, osteopenia,
Okay.
like disc
Hmm.
disorders, some stuff like that. So I just wanted to see kind of where I'm at too.
Well,
And
I'll be
that
anxious
wasn't
to
as
see
good
those.
as I thought.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna put put a little video together on that and
It'll be
see.
nice though that it's not a perfect baseline, but at least you have that as a baseline now, and then you'll be able to maybe check it again in a year or something and see what differences.
Yeah. And I've been adding in some exercise now again because I like completely quit exercising because my fatigue was so bad
Mm,
that I couldn't tolerate like any exercise at all. I was just getting wiped like
mm.
when I started again. Well, and then there's all kinds of variables. I got really sick right after we moved here. I don't know what it was, but
It
it
was
put me on my butt
acclimating to
for
the
about a
heat.
week. I don't know, like I had I don't know if it was the bad virus or not, but it was
Mhm.
like really like fever, just
Yeah,
shaking, chills, like body like really bad. And then that's kind of
probably
I don't know,
was.
that was like the last trigger and then I was just like my body's crashing, so anyway, I cut out exercise and I've just started adding it back in.
Yeah,
And so I'm really thinking about it too in that context of like doing the more uh weight bearing, a little bit of jumping, like that
yeah.
osteogenic type stuff
Good,
to work on that bone density too.
good. And I know you doing some videos on that as well, or are you planning to?
Yeah, I've got I think maybe three little classes up on my playlist now, and that's something I've always wanted to teach. I got certified as a personal trainer, I don't know, 5 6 years ago. Really just kind of for the knowledge. I wanted to understand like how to train myself better, how to lift appropriately and all these kinds of things. Um and then I got certified as a group fitness instructor because I thought after having my baby, I'm like, maybe I could do that a couple times, days a week for some extra money. But then
Hmm.
that was pandemic and everything was closed. And so it was like, never mind.
Yeah,
But then I've always done yoga
yeah.
for a long, 10, 12 years. And so um and done some stuff in martial arts. Like I've just done a lot of
That's
different
cool.
things. And
Yeah,
so I kind of just take everything that I've learned and combine it into, functional training. Like what do we need to do to um, maintain like a lot of the stuff we're talking about, maintain our health, our muscle mass, our
yeah,
bone density, and the ability to do these basic, activities of daily living all the way, as long as we possibly can so that we can remain independent,
yeah.
right? And not
I love
need
it.
to have a bunch of care and stuff. And so, um, yeah, I've been adding some stuff like that to my content as well. And so hopefully
Well, that's perfect.
that'll help others
That's
too.
the stage I kind of where I want to be as well as far as that next stage of it. I feel like I don't know if you're ever fully comfortable, but I feel very comfortable with the diet part of it and what I'm eating and I don't I know this may upset some people, but I don't have the cravings anymore. I'm really I just feel very confident in where I'm at and knowing this is the best way of eating for me. And so now it's like, yeah, I want to get to that next level of, all right, how do I get back into fit and can't be dangerous by 50? So
Dangerous, yeah.
yeah. So that's my goal this next year and a half. So I'm excited about it. Very, very
That's
cool.
cool. The dude asks, did I do the DEXA scan in the morning before drinking fluids? That can make a big difference.
Mm,
And no, I got it at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had drank and I had like a very light meal, probably about 3 hours before that. So I did read through the the whole report afterwards, and it did mention something about that where at least when you go get tested again, you want to have like as close to the exact same conditions as possible. So if you had eaten lunch the first time, you don't want to try to eat lunch the same way, to try to get it because it can make a big difference. So
that makes
maybe I'll
sense.
even that same exact company, their van, they come around my area.
Hmm.
And so maybe I'll just get another one and go like fasted in the morning or something, have a little bit better
Yeah.
baseline and then see if that makes a difference. Because
Yeah.
you're right, it can.
Yeah. I was surprised it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't super expensive. Some of those types of scans seemed like and I don't know if they were just giving a deal because it was Hack Your Health or what, but I can't remember. It was like $62, I think. So, I mean,
Mhm.
had a lot of other procedures that were a whole lot more expensive than that. So it was nice to be able to do that
Yeah.
and at least get a baseline. Like you said, I've never done it before. So I was anxious. I was with Todd Bachnes and he was going to do it. He ended up missing his appointment time with all the other stuff that was going on. But I was very curious to see what his bone density would be because he's been so heavy his entire life. And he talks about where he knows his bones are so much bigger because it's had to carry so much weight around for all his life since a young
Mhm.
child. And so I was very curious to see what his bone density would be. And because I know he's probably got some massive bones, but he missed his appointment. So he said he'll do it another time, but and share his results later. But
Okay. Yeah, and I think too, if you buy, they have like bundles you can, or it's almost not a membership, but I think you can buy
yeah,
them like
it's like a
4 at a
month. You can
time
even
for
do like a monthly
cheaper or
one, I think.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. If you really want to get curious. Um,
Don't think I'm that curious. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
But
and I've seen and I know too with those it's not technically like a bone density um an exact reading, you know, like it's versus or how do you do it when you go and do they I don't know. How do they measure it when you go in and kind of specifically get do they do like a biopsy or do they I can't
I don't
remember.
know. I don't know.
So it's again,
I,
it's not like 100% like this is your bone density,
right.
but
Right.
it's pretty close, I guess.
Yeah. And it's
So
like
there
you
again,
said,
like
if you're comparing a similar scan, as you progress along, you can probably see the difference and get better results that way. Wow. Well,
Robin's
cool.
got a question. Did you learn anything about herbs? Ayurveda has used them to heal for years, so it confuses me to avoid them. This is a good
Yeah.
question.
It's a good question.
Um, well, I didn't at the conference, although there were speakers talking about there were people there with supplements and
I,
but I don't know if I saw any like specific herbal remedies. Did
I
you?
personally have always had the belief that there's a lot of herbs that have some natural healing properties and things like that. I really have always believed that and seen a lot of that. My mom was always very into natural healing and things like that. And I really believe that everything that God put on the planet, there's a reason and an intent for it. I think where we have gotten astray so much of what we buy in the grocery stores is the way things are processed and all the different additives and insecticides and things like that are harming us more than anything. But um, I so I don't know from a other than just hearing different stories. But Carrie talks about, well, the guy you mentioned earlier, Jeff DeProsperous, when he went up and saw him, one of his best friend from I forget which tribe that they're in, but he's an Indian, and he's just has all of this plethora of natural herbal remedies and things like that he's also been helping Jeff with too, with his cancer treatments and things like that. They call him the medicine man, I think is his nickname. And so but he said they had some really neat stuff. So I think there's definitely something to it. I'm not an expert in that area by any means, but um, I think carnivore lifestyle is a great way for me to eat, but I have also used various oils and different things like that in my healing process initially when I found out about type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually I've heard Dr. Chafee take a question similar to this. It's like, you know, what do you think about plant medicine and stuff like that? And um I think he had a fairly logical response to that too, where it's like, you know, clearly there are medicinal properties in some of these things and things like Ayurveda. I've read quite a bit into that. I did several different like herbal cleanses and things like that early on in my you know, there's all kinds of like gut healing protocols that involve
Yeah.
different herbs and things like that. That I did try and for some reason personally I just didn't whether it was user error on my part or whatever, but I just didn't seem to find any success with that. Maybe now that I've cleaned up my diet and I've removed so many of the offending, you know, the
Yeah.
offenders, maybe something like
The
an
various
herbal
toxins.
would help me. Um, but
That's
I don't know. But I think there's, you know, obviously something to that. That's where we get all of our medicines,
yeah.
right? Is plant essentially extracts. And so But I think the argument is that you would take those on an as needed basis, right? They wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily be a daily thing that you would need, right? If you're already healthy. So they're, they're first aid reasons or, um,
Yeah,
things like
exactly.
that.
And I think that's where too, one of the things at least has benefited me is because again, carnivore was really more as an elimination diet, right? And so once you get a lot of that kind of your body back to a healing state and a lot of that's out of your body, you actually feel the impacts of some of that stuff even more. Um, there's Adam. Hey Adam, I love it.
Yeah. So I do on this note, I kind of want to hear a little bit more about, the Airbnb and stuff. Cause like I saw, I hung out with Robin, Carnivorous Grandma, and
Hmm.
G Brown from Hanging with the Browns quite a bit. And I know they went out there and came back. So I've seen like some of Robin's videos, where she's got a
Yeah.
little bit of footage in there, but tell us a
So
little bit about that and what it was
it
like.
was awesome. It was Todd Botkin's brainchild, I think, originally to kind of go to this nice. It was actually in Wimberley, so it was about 45 minutes away from the Austin area. So it was a little bit of a drive, but it was just such a nice area and had this really cool barn type area. So it had a lot of square footage just for hosting, and that's where we did our main event. And then inside the house, there was 5 or 6 bedrooms, and that's where Carrie and Adam were set up to do a lot of the filming of the individuals as they were doing the filming. And so um, where Brett and myself and Todd and Lindy stayed in the barn, and that became just kind of the hangout, and it was really kind of funny because I didn't realize at the time, but Bella and Dr. Chafee and several that were staying at their Airbnb were only about 10 minutes away, and we had all the food at our place. So like every time they got hungry, they're
Okay.
like, "All right, you got any food? Throw on some steaks." And so we were cooking it up for them pretty much the whole time. And then man, Adam and Carrie, those two were relentless. Their schedule was so packed. Again, I think they missed the entire Hack Your Health. Besides the day they were doing the presentation, they got there for a couple of hours and made an appearance on Friday morning. But outside of that, and I think the only reason they made an appearance on Friday morning is because they were supposed to film Dante, and because he was in that car accident, he wasn't able to make it. And so that's the only reason I think they even made it Friday morning. But their schedule was back to back packed. And they said several times, which I was very grateful that they were appreciative, but it was really nice. But they said they probably wouldn't have eaten much that entire weekend because their schedule was so full if we hadn't been there to help cook and have stuff ready for them to go. So I know Brett at one point cooked a big power bowl for Carrie and the girls and Adam, and we threw on steaks whenever we could, whenever we knew they had a quick little half an hour to swing in and eat some lunch. And so it was fun. But yeah, what it turned into, we dubbed it, and that's the video I'll be putting out hopefully soon on my channel in the next couple of days, calling it Carnivore Camp, because by the end of it, we felt like it was just kind of that feeling of just like everybody hanging out all the time, staying up late at night and up early in the mornings, and just any spare time that we had, we were just hanging out, and it was a lot of fun. It was just a different vibe and felt like camp, and it was neat. Adam probably won't say the same thing because he was a workhorse, and the guy was just like constantly going. And when they were done an interview, they already started prepping for the next interview, and obviously they take it very seriously, asking a lot of and prepping with a lot of good questions and knowing who they're about to interview. And they put a lot of work into it, which was awesome. I had the pleasure of going with them to film Pastor Jimmy, and that was in Fredericksburg, and so that was about another hour away. But we were able to film him at his church, and that was really cool. And brought all the equipment in there and
Neat.
helped get all that set up, and got to see all that in action. And Adam in his element there, getting all the lighting and camera angle set up, and man, it was exceptional. So that was really, really cool. So I just felt like it was such an amazing thing just to be having the opportunity to do that. I felt totally blessed to be able to do that, and I got a lot of kudos and thanks for the meat. But I was the one feeling like, oh, this is just, I mean, it's my honor. I had so much fun just cooking for everybody and getting to hang out. And Todd put together an incredible live stream event for that night, and the dinner that was before that. Oh my word! That's, if you've seen any of the videos, that's usually what it is. We did tomahawk ribeyes for all of pretty much everybody who was there. We had bought 25 tomahawk ribeyes and smoked them all up, and then we had a big cowboy cooker and seared them all off. And Todd had gotten butchered. Here we go. Got these cutting boards, and Adam had gotten a branding thing, and we branded in the Healing Humanity logo on them, and Todd had gotten knives and forks for everybody. It was just white tablecloths. Ella, who is Limitless Lindy's daughter, was there, and she'd been a hostess in her previous jobs, and so she was teaching the girls how to fold up all the napkins in a fancy way. And we had she went out into the yard and pulled like some flowers and sticks and whatever, and just made a really pretty centerpiece on each table. And I mean, it looked really nice. It was really done up right. So cool. So that Saturday night when all the doctors came in and we did the big dinner before the live stream, it was pretty legit, and it was pretty cool. But we had tomahawk ribeyes, we had prime rib, and we had dino ribs. So it was a lot of meat for everybody. So it was pretty fantastic.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
It was such an amazing time. So ready for carnivore camp already again next year. So or sooner if we can put something together, it would be a blast. Yeah,
it's in Tampa next year, right?
Yeah, so we're here at Tampa. I'm hearing. It's in September, so
so
might be a little harder.
I don't know why they changed
figure
the date,
that out.
But
yeah, it was date, location, and I know especially those with kids that might be difficult because that's kind of the start of the school year for a lot of people. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm going for sure. Beach vacation.
Right. I hope I can. Tampa's great. So it is. They've got a lot of cool beaches there. So I'll have to find another big.
I used to live in that area a lot, years back. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time in Tampa, but sort of.
We'll have to find another big Airbnb and do carnivore camp number 2.
Yeah.
I think everybody who was there already agreed that we got to do that again. It was so much fun. Just make it bigger next time, which was kind of funny because the Airbnb, the person who owned it, I mean, Todd worked really closely with them, like saying, hey, they had a limit, I think originally of like 15 people only. And he said, we're probably going to have more like 25. And then it grew to 30 and then it grew to 40. And so it was like, he was working with them to make sure everything was going to be cool with it. And then not quite as many people showed up as we had thought, but still there was 30, 35 people there for that dinner event. So that was fun.
Okay. That's very cool. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that video that you put out because that'll be really fun.
Yeah. Hopefully I can get it edited soon. It's almost there.
Yeah, that's a lot of work too. On the other end of it is like, I think I made 3. I split mine up into like a little mini vlog for each day, and I got home Monday evening at late afternoon, and I'm like, I really want to get these out, right while the energy's high on this, and I mean, it took me 8, 9, 10 hours to make those 3 videos. It's like.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize how long it does take, and you can nitpick it to death and keep working on them, and finally you just have to put something out. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just put one out on the breakfast fatty. That was one morning we cooked up, but Limitless Lindy, she filmed most of that, and it was kind of funny. We had a little blooper reel on that one because I tried to do a little trick with it and it spilled it all over the floor. So I had to do another one the next day. It was funny, but it worked out. Not a perfectly edited video, but I got that one out just to set it up because it was funny. I don't mind laughing at getting made fun of a little bit on that, but it was fun. Yeah, great time. It really was. It was really neat, and it was really, I mean, getting to meet the doctors, and I got to drive Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Baker back and forth between Wimberley and Austin, and just having some time in the vehicle with them. I mean, Dr. Kiltz is, as Carrie put it, next level human being. I mean, he's just amazing. Absolutely incredible guy. And got to chat a lot with Dr. Chafee, and they're just all so real, down to earth. Dr. Baker, I'm sure you've seen the shots where they were goofing around at the end and picking up Dr. Baker, and then he picked up Adam and Carrie individually. Got some funny pictures with that. So all that'll start coming out. Hopefully you'll get to start seeing it if you haven't seen any more of them online yet, but it was great. Good times.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that I know we've been on here a little over an hour?
Yeah.
I can stay for a little bit more. I do have an interview at 6 here.
No problem.
But,
I know we need to wrap up. And so I would say the only other thing was at some point we're gonna we've made a commitment to each other. We're going to try and figure out something for a meetup somewhere, and we'll try and get that announced soon. And love to do a local area DFW type meetup and work with you on that. We'll try and coordinate something and get that out to our followers that might be in this area, and then maybe do something with some of the others. We just met so many great people from all the way Austin to different parts that are around here, and it's just so fun meeting in person. So if you weren't able to make it out to the Hack Your Health, hopefully we can do something fun together in person at a meetup sometime in the near future.
Yeah,
here in the
absolutely.
Dallas area. So we'll work on
Yeah,
that.
it's so encouraging, and I still feel such a, I don't know if it's a high or whatever, but it's like you
Yeah,
just feel more secure in what you're doing because, I know for me too, kind of going back to the loneliness of the healing journey, it's like you feel very isolated sometimes if
yeah.
people don't understand like
Mhm.
what this is like or what you're going through or all these things you're trying and you keep hitting brick walls and it's like when you finally kind of break through and find, this essentially, it's like, oh, meat's the only safe food for me. That's kind of crazy, but okay, and I'm finally here. Um, it's like then you meet other people. I've been met a lot of people online and things like that, which is great, and it's definitely better than not having that. But there's just something to like sitting down to a meal with somebody, and it's like you don't have to explain like why you're not eating the sauce or going to the salad bar. I love the part at the dinner where the
Yeah,
server was like, I just have one question. Is anyone gonna be going to the salad bar? And then
I
everyone
know.
was like,
Everybody in
no.
unison. No, that was
Just
pretty
like,
funny.
yay, somebody,
Yeah.
So yeah, I
He was the
definitely am
one who was
excited
actually the
to.
carnivore. That was the guy who asked that question. He was the waiter that was the carnivore.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah.
Okay.
So that was so funny. But yeah, that was hilarious.
That's super cool.
That clip's in there too. I got that in my video because I actually filmed that part, but it was funny. I love it. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you at the conference, and
Mhm.
again, I'm glad we were able to jump on this together, and hopefully we'll get to do some more stuff in the future, and just again telling these stories and getting the information out there. It's the reason why, no other reason why I put a YouTube channel together. Never did it for any other reason, but I just think we've seen so much healing in our family, and me and my brother wanted to tell that story ourselves, and hope we'll continue to get to meet some incredible people and continue to see incredible results that we can keep putting these stories out there. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad to have met you as well, and yeah, more Texas people now that we can.
that's right.
This is the meat state. I feel like one of the best meat
Yes,
states. So
yes, yeah. Next time
great.
next time at Hack Your Health or some other event is here in Texas, we need a even bigger following from Texas to be there
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. Awesome. Well, thanks for the time, and thanks for that, and thanks for those who are watching. And looking forward to seeing more about it.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks everybody for being in here and anyone watching the replay, obviously as well. And I got a busy schedule the rest of this month. So you'll be hearing more from me soon. And if anybody's not subscribed, over to Carnivore Brothers, make sure you go over there and check them out. I think if I haven't already left a link, I will in my description here. So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for that.
righty. Yeah. See y'all later.
Bye.